Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Little Mo Gaming. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos with the camera in front of me, so I'm gonna be a little bit rusty on it, but I'm excited because finally gonna be doing my Nintendo Switch retrospective video that I've been talking about for weeks now. If you've been keeping up with my Little Mo Gaming at Lunch videos, basically we're just gonna take a moment to sit down today and remember the Nintendo Switch. Now that we have officially gotten the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, direct or showcase, showing it in all its glory, and maybe some non-glorious things. I talked about that in my video yesterday. I'll link it over here if you haven't seen it yet. I'll talk about the direct and my feelings on the pricing and all that. But besides all that, the Nintendo Switch was a fantastic console that came out at a time where we didn't really have anything like it. We did have the PSP and the PS Vita. They were handhelds that did kind of bridge that gap between an actual console and a handheld, bringing the PS2 experience to almost, to your palm of your hands with the PSP. And then the PS Vita being a little more higher quality than that, bringing games like Uncharted. I think even God of War had one on there. I wasn't a big PS Vita guy. I did have one for a little bit, and then I sold it to get a 3DS. The Switch was really the first of its kind to really change the game. I mean, when this came out, the idea of, being able to play console style games, big 50-hour, 100-hour adventures, 3D worlds in the palm of your hands. This changed that. I remember when they made the first trailer showcasing the Switch, showing what it can do. When you saw people, picking it up off the dock and holding it in their hands on a plane or on the bus, playing games like Skyrim, the hype was real. I remember me, my friends, my brothers, everybody was just going crazy over this thing and excited to get their hands on it. And that was difficult at first. I have a lot of memories of the hunt. We used to call it Switch hunting when we were all trying to get one. My brothers and my friends actually went out hunting more than I did. I didn't have as much time to go out to Best Buy every morning or Target or wherever. But I did join them a few times, and one story I remember in particular, this was the closest that we got to getting one before anybody even got their hands on one. Best Buy had said that they were going to have, I think 2 or 3 units in the morning. So we got ourselves ready. We got up early in the morning, me, my brother, and my friend Zach. And we went to Best Buy, and we were the first ones in line. So we thought, this is it. We're locked in. One of us is getting a Switch today, if not all of us. And I remember while we're waiting, I think we waited about 45 minutes. About halfway through that time, this guy walked up behind us, and he got in line behind us. And it was just us and him until they opened. And we were talking to him. He was cool. He was hyped for the Switch as well. We got inside. The employees said that they had 1 Switch left. So I don't know who told us that there was going to be 2 or 3. But they only had 1. But we thought we were locked in. I mean, we were there first and everything. So we told my friend, I remember my friend Zach, he was the first one there, so he was going to claim it. We get inside, he says, I'll have 1 Switch, please. At least I think that's how it went. But we go inside, the guy gets the Switch. We walk up to the customer service counter where he's going to check us out, and we're super excited. And all of a sudden, this other Best Buy employee comes out and he says, wait, hold on. That one was actually pre-ordered or something like that. And we're all like, what? And he takes the Switch from the employee and takes the guy that was with us in line and goes to another counter to check him out. And then we're just standing there like, what? What just happened? And the other employee actually, I guess he kind of ratted on the other guy. He said that was his friend. And so he was actually trying to hold that for him, but he had no idea. My friend Zach was pissed. We were pretty upset too. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, there's going to be those cases where an employee is going to try to hold on to something for a friend of theirs. And I mean, what can you do, right? I mean, we took the L and we went on with our day. Eventually, my brothers and my friend Zach, they got a Switch. My friend Hector and I, we were the only ones left that hadn't gotten a Switch yet. So the way that we got ours, and it's the same exact unit right here, this is my day one Switch, we decided to buy it from scalpers because you couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, we tried going to many different stores. It was impossible. I found a lady on Craigslist who was in the north side of Houston. She had 2 Switches for sale. She told me that if we were going to buy both consoles, she would give me a deal where she'd sell each one for $380 instead of like $420 or something like that. So I told my friend, and he was like, "Hey, I mean, it's $80 more, but let's do it. Why not?" So we drove up to the Woodlands, which is the north side, and we met up with this lady in the park, and she brought out the 2 Switches, brand new in their boxes. One of them right here. And yeah, we bought them. We opened one in the car. I remember I think I kept mine closed until I got home because I wanted to go home and like unbox it and make it an experience because it was such a fun time. My friend couldn't wait, so he opened it in the car and we were looking at this thing. I mean, I remember when he pulled this out of the box, I was blown away by actually seeing it in person. I'm missing the kickstand now. I did try to fix it. I'll probably try to fix it someday. I never really used that feature. But we were so blown away by how small this screen was. But at the time, it was fine. Small, but the fact that you could play games like Skyrim on here was crazy. And then looking at the Joy-Cons. These are not my original Joy-Cons. Those are long gone. I don't know what happened to them. I had the gray Joy-Cons, or what came with our Switches. We didn't get the red and blue Switch. We got the gray one. And I was okay with that. I didn't really care for the colors, to be honest. But looking at the Joy-Cons for the first time, holding it in my hand and like feeling it, it's a memory that I will cherish forever. My friend and I, we remember it from time to time. And just the experience of like actually driving up to the north side. It was a long drive, and to get this Switch, that's really what made the memory worth it. Obviously, I probably wouldn't pay scalper prices for the Nintendo Switch 2, considering that it's already like over $400. Back then, this launched at $300. We just couldn't find it anywhere, so we were just excited to finally get our hands on it. Of course, the first game that we bought, we went home, on our way home, we went by the store, and we bought Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this is not Breath of the Wild, this is Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have my copy of Breath of the Wild here. I think it's actually back at my parents' house in Houston. But I figured I'd grab Tears of the Kingdom here just to kind of represent Zelda. Breath of the Wild was the first game that we picked up. It was my brothers, me, my friend Zach, my friend Hector. We all picked up Breath of the Wild. And I remember every time we would go out to eat, because we would go out maybe once or twice a week, just to hang out. They would bring their Switch with them to the restaurant and sit there and be playing Breath of the Wild. And they were actually doing this before I got my Switch, so because they got it before we did. And I remember being so jealous. They're sitting there talking about the shrines and like how they discovered all these different shrines. And when I finally got my copy and my Switch, this game was absolutely incredible. Not Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. Almost the same thing, right? Absolutely incredible. The freedom and the exploration and it being a launch game for this console. I think it was the perfect game to come out on here, even though technically it came out on Wii U as well. It was the perfect game to start on the Switch. And at that time, a big deal that people were talking about in the industry was performance, right? Frames, graphics quality, all that. The Switch didn't have 60 frames per second. This ran at 30 frames, but it looked absolutely gorgeous and it was very smooth. The exploration and being able to create your own stories. I remember walking around one time in the game and I was in a snowy area. I didn't have the right armor on, and so Link was, he was shivering and almost dying of the cold, until I remember I found something that helped me a little bit, and I was at a cliffside, and all of a sudden this massive yellow dragon just starts flying from above the cliff, and I just stood there and like stared at this thing, and I was like, wow. And I talked to my friend about it, and he didn't have that specific experience. He had a similar experience, but in a different way. There was a few different dragons that you could find in the world. And for me, that was just the moment that I had seen it for the first time, and it absolutely blew my mind. Zelda Breath of the Wild was an incredible game to start on the Switch. And that'll kind of get me into this next portion where I'm just going to talk about games that I played on the Switch. I do own a lot of games on the Switch, but I haven't played them all. And truth be told, I didn't really play a lot of games on here, but the ones that I'm going to mention today are the ones that meant the most to me and I spent the most time on. I'm going to start off with one that I haven't actually technically completed, but I am currently playing it. Octopath Traveler. I didn't really start to get into this game until just a few months ago, and I've mentioned it in a couple of my past videos, but this one's very nostalgic to me from the early days of the Switch because I remember when the demo came out. I downloaded the demo and I played the demo and I thought it was so cool, and I was looking forward to this game coming out, but I never really got around to playing it. I do have a lot of nostalgia for it because I heard a lot of things about it. I used to watch a lot of videos, and then playing the demo, it was one of the first RPG experiences I had on there, even though technically I didn't really play it. But right now I am playing it about halfway through, or a little over halfway through. I'm taking it very slow. It's a very slow game. That's the thing. It's a slow burn. It's a very grindy game, but it is fun. And I have a lot of nostalgia for Octopath Traveler, being one of the first games I was exposed to on the Switch, even though it was in a demo form. This next game, I've been playing this game since it came out on the Wii U. Technically, it was ported onto the Switch and remastered, but of course the Switch version is the definitive way to play this, and it's a game that has fed us for almost a decade now, with it having come out on Wii U and going into the Switch, and that's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I have a story with this game, and this is really just a memory with the Switch as well from the early days. When I lived in Houston, we had a hurricane come in, Hurricane Harvey. It was a big deal. I remember we didn't evacuate, but we left our home for the few days that the hurricane hit, and we stayed at our local mosque. And a lot of people that we knew in the area who went to our mosque, they did the same thing. They opened it up as a shelter, and we were all there. We stayed there for about 4 nights, I remember. I think it was almost a week, really, like 4 or 5 nights. And this was around the time that the Switch had come out, so we did take our Switches with us. Of course, we'd be busy doing other things, with it being like almost a disaster situation, with there, no power, being in a shelter and all that. But late at night, when we were trying to go to bed, we would pull out the Switch and we would play Mario Kart 8. This was the game that we were playing at the time. I have the digital version downloaded on here from back when I got the Switch, but I did pick up this physical copy that includes the Booster Course Pass, all the courses and everything, all the waves that came out. Pretty rare copy, hard to get your hands on right now. I got it for a decent price. It was definitely a little more pricey, but I did get it for a decent price, and it has all 48 courses on it, on the cartridge too, which I thought was really cool just to have that, just in case if, maybe one day, the eShop goes down, or, there's no more access to the digital version. I'll have the physical version here and I can go back and reminisce. I used to spend so much time with my friends racing in this game. Sometimes I'll just pull it out on my own and go online and race people all over the world. For some reason, it's mostly people in Japan, and they always kick my butt. It's a great game with the new Mario Kart around the corner. Very excited for that, although it is a little pricey, but it does look incredible. I always wondered, how could they make this game better? It seems like they did a good job with that. We'll see where that goes, but for now, on this console, Mario Kart 8 was a huge deal. This next game was very important for me on the Switch. There was a point in time where I really wanted to play a JRPG on the Switch, and I remember researching what are the top JRPGs. This was at a time where we didn't have all the big JRPG remasters or ports that we have today. I mean, if you look at the catalog now, there's so many options to choose from. Back then, it was a little less, and I remember seeing a list of like maybe 20 to 30 JRPGs. This one, I had never heard of this series before. I think I've seen the logo before, but I had no clue what this series was or what it was about. It's not even a turn-based JRPG. It's more action, adventure, active fighting. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana. This is my original box art. Now, the box art is actually flipped. This is, I flipped the box art. This is my original box. What can I say about this game? It was so fun to play. I didn't have a lot of experiences with deep JRPGs like this one. And like I said, this is not a turn-based one, so it's not that hardcore. It was really fun. The action was smooth, it was satisfying, the story was incredible. The feeling of being on this island, you're stranded on an island and building this base. And it always gets, every now and then it gets attacked, and they do like this little mini game that's kind of like a tower defense game, which was really fun. The story was absolutely incredible, and the music was awesome. I still listen to the soundtrack to this day. Sometimes I'll just play it in the car. It was my first experience with the East series. I haven't played another East game since then. Since then, I have had a lot more exposure to the East series. I do want to play East 9 and East 10. East 10 just came out late last year, and I heard incredible things about that. One thing that I have a little story on this one, and this is before I was a collector, before I started actually collecting physical games and caring about that stuff. I don't have the game cartridge. It came with like these trading cards. So it came with these trading cards, which I don't know where they are now. They're gone. I still have the sleeve. And it also came with this map. So I do have mostly everything, and that's the original box art there. But the cartridge, I don't have it because I wanted to get there was a game I wanted to buy. I decided to go ahead and trade in the cartridge because GameStop had a good deal on it. I think they gave me like $30 to $40 for it. I don't know why I did that. I was so stupid. I wish I would have kept it. Because this game meant so much to me, there was a reprint of it, and I did go ahead and pick up a sealed copy here. So I do have a sealed copy of it. I don't have it with me here. It's actually back in Houston. I have the PS5 because they did like a PS5 remaster for it. And they did a collector's edition. It's about this big. I don't have it. I should have taken a picture of it or something when I was there last week. It's a really cool little collector's edition. I have that back home sealed as well. Maybe one day when I showcase my collector's editions, I'll show that in there. So I do have this sealed copy, so I can have that in my collection because it's a game that really meant a lot to me. I spent a lot of time in it. One of the biggest games I played on Switch, to be honest.
Get ready, everyone!
The next one I want to talk about is Deadly Premonition. Now, this is Deadly Premonition 2. I haven't actually played this game yet. I did kind of start it, but I didn't go through it. But what I want to talk about is the first game. I remember when they showed this off, they showed off Deadly Premonition 2 at some Nintendo Direct after E3 or something. A friend of mine told me about the first game. He mentioned that it was almost like a Twin Peaks style game, and if you've been watching my videos, I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks. I did a whole video tribute to David Lynch when he died, talking about his movies and Twin Peaks and all that, so if you want to check that out, I do have that on my channel. That game was amazing. It was super janky, and a lot of people told me that. They told me it was going to be super janky. I read a lot about it as well. The charm was insane. I mean, it literally is Twin Peaks in video game form, but doing kind of its own thing, where you play as the agent that's kind of like Agent Cooper in Twin Peaks. In the game, he talks to like his imaginary friend Zach, which was funny because my friend Zach was one of the ones who recommended it to me. So we had that little inside joke there that I was always talking to Zach in the game. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of nostalgia for it. There was like a scene in the game where literally you spend like 20 minutes just running with like this crazy music in the background, and there's all the silliness of it that felt like the Twin Peaks show. I did enjoy it. It was fun. Definitely Deadly Premonition is a big memory for me with the Switch.
There! Over there!
Super Mario Odyssey. Now, this is my original copy of Super Mario Odyssey. It's definitely worse for wear. It's seen better days. I think what happened is something got spilled on here. Me and my siblings, we would all play this, and it was always kind of laying around. This was before I really cared about like having my physical collection in order. So something spilled on here, but it's still intact. It's just, now I could have bought a brand new copy, pristine and all that, but I thought, you know what? I'd rather just keep my original copy in my collection because of the memories, right? I mean, I remember when something when we did find this and that it was in this condition, I was pretty upset about that. You can see all the water damage in there, but the game is fine. Yeah, Super Mario Odyssey was an incredible experience. Kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild, it was one of the big deal games at the launch of the Switch. I had a lot of fun with this game, although I did not complete it 100%. I do want to go back and play it. I played most of it. Yeah, it's just like having Cappy as the new feature in here where you can take over different things, and like in the first level you become a dinosaur. That was really fun, and the graphics are really nice too. A lot of memories with this game, a lot of memories watching my brother play it, because he played it more than I did. Super Mario Odyssey was a big deal on the Switch for sure. Getting close to the end here. Just got a few more games. I'll kind of rapid fire through these. Don't have too much to say about them, but these are also games that meant a lot to me. The last game I want to talk about here is a big deal. But we're going to go ahead and talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield. I specifically played Pokemon Shield. My brother played Pokemon Sword. Yeah, a lot of memories with this game. I did not play the DLC for it, but I did play the full base game, and it was really fun. I don't have a lot of experience with the newer Pokemon games, so like Black and White, X and Y, Sun and Moon. I didn't really play those, but Pokemon Sword and Shield came out. I got into the hype of that. I wanted to play it and experience it, so I did, and it did kind of get me back into collecting Pokemon cards as well, which was really cool. I have a huge Pokemon card collection now because of this game. It's also kind of the time that the big Pokemon card boom happened where everybody was collecting Pokemon cards. But yeah, a lot of memories with that game. It was really cool. The Gigantamax feature was awesome, where the Pokemon can grow and you get like these dungeons that you can go into and like fight stronger versions of certain Pokemon and try to catch them. A lot of memories with that one. This one's a little different, the Capcom Belt Action Collection. So this is like a Japanese, I think it's Japanese only. It never really came out here in the West, but it is English as well. I learned about this game from the Happy Console Gamer close to when I started watching him. It looked really cool to me. It's arcade games from Capcom. Final Fight is on here, King of Dragons, Captain Commando. I don't know a lot about these games from the past, but he was talking about this game in his video, and it made me want to play it, and I did. And I've had a lot of fun with this one, just popping it in from time to time and playing these old school style fighting games, side scrolling. Had a lot of fun with Final Fight specifically. This is what actually got me started on building my physical collection. So that's why I have a lot of nostalgia for it, even though, it's not something that I know too much about, but I did play quite a bit of it. And it's what started me on collecting games for the Switch. So a lot of nostalgia for this one. The last game I want to talk about here for the Switch, and this is probably the most important, most nostalgic one, and that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, what else is there to say about this game? If you know, you know. If you've played this, you know exactly what it's about. It's the ultimate version of Super Smash Bros. Also, like Mario Kart, it came out on the Wii U and then got ported over and remastered for the Switch. Definitely the definitive place to play it. My brothers and I, my friends, we have hundreds of hours in this game, getting together on Fridays. They would come over to my place and we would sit down and play Smash Bros for hours. And it was so cool because even friends of mine who are not really big gamers, they got into the hype and they learned how to play this. My friend Hector, he was not really that big on gaming. He likes video games. He likes Nintendo specifically. He bought the Switch with me. He hadn't played Super Smash Brothers with us before as much, and then he got into it and his main was Kirby. Actually, now that I think about it, I think he did play it with us on the Wii U, but he really got into it on the Switch. And I have a couple other friends as well who were not that into this game that really got into it on the Switch. And so my friend Hector always made Kirby. That was a fun thing, with our friends. Whenever he would play Kirby, He would piss us all off with like the brick move, hitting us with the big hammer. I have a lot of trauma with that. He was really good with Kirby too. I had a few different mains myself. I was always into playing America Mario, so one of my friends would always tell me, Nader, he would always tell me to pick America Mario, and he was kind of like my hype man whenever I would play that. It's just bringing back a lot of memories, honestly, almost like a small tear, you know, just of the good old days of us all getting together and putting in ridiculous nicknames. I always tried to play like kind of the obscure characters, so like sometimes I would play as Olimar or Ness, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, we all had like our little quirks, our little characters that we would choose, and we always get into like big arguments. We even had like a little scandal where like a friend of mine threw a Wiimote at my friend Hector. I'm not gonna go into deep. If you guys are watching, you know the story. It's just memories that we laugh at now. But yeah, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the game that really I have the most memories with on the Switch. Probably the most time clocked in as well. It definitely is the game that means the most to me on the Switch, you know, in terms of the memories that I formed with my friends, with my closest friends, you know, Hector, Nader, Saleem, Zach, you know, all the guys that used to come over, Asad, my friend Asad, you know, he wasn't really into Smash Bros as much, but he would be there and he would watch us and it would still be a great time. And so, yes, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, definitely the biggest game on the Switch for me and what meant the most to me. So those are really the games that, you know, defined the life cycle of the Switch for me. I have a ton of Switch games that I collected over the years that unfortunately I just haven't had the time to really play. So there's definitely a lot of other games I played on the Switch, but these are the ones that meant the most to me and really formed the most memories on the Switch. And so going into this next generation of the Switch, with the Switch 2. You know, I think starting off with Mario Kart is really cool. I probably won't be able to get together with all my friends again, you know, the same way that we used to. It's definitely going to be a rare occasion that we can. That's why I really like the feature that they talked about where there's like a camera that you can attach to the Switch 2, and that way you can kind of get everybody in the game chat and see their faces when you're playing Smash Bros or racing in Mario Kart. I think that might be a way to kind of be able to relive the old days from time to time. So we'll see how that goes. It's really exciting. I mean, this console spanned almost 2 generations of consoles. It came out in the later half of the PS4 Xbox One cycle. Then the PS5 Xbox Series X generation started in 2020. We still haven't gotten the new Switch. So this literally spanned 2 generations of consoles and survived it. Of course, now it is getting to a point where games just don't play as well on here, at least the newer stuff. So I'm really excited to see how the Switch 2 will perform, it being almost as strong as a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One S is what I've been hearing, like somewhere in that range. I think that's really cool with it getting games like Elden Ring and Cyberpunk. Oh, and another memory I have, this is kind of silly. I pulled this out of the Switch because I'm playing it currently. You can see, I don't know how to get that focus. Pikmin 1 and 2. A big memory that I have with this is when it came out, they said that the cartridges were going to taste like a Sharpie. If you lick it, like it's going to be very bitter, as a way to counter kids putting them in their mouth. That's just a funny thing that, you know, happened. Oh, my light just went out because it's hooked up to my laptop here and the battery just died. So we're gonna have to just finish up this video with this lighting. Excuse that. But yeah, just that small thing. You know, it's just a small thing, but it's a memory with the Switch because it was a big thing everyone was talking about. People were getting these games and they were licking them to see if they would actually taste bitter. And I'm gonna go ahead and test that out for you right now. Yep. Sure enough, it is bitter. Yeah, it still has that bitter agent on there that they put on there. It's something silly, but you know, it's just one of those things. Like when this console came out, there was so much around it. I just wanted to sit down here today and give this little spiel on my experience with the Nintendo Switch, my stories with it, my memories with the games that I played on the Switch, and the ones that meant the most to me. If you did enjoy this video, please give me a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments some unique story that you have, and particular with the Switch. What was the game that meant the most to you on the console? What did you enjoy playing on there? Anyways, this was Little Mo Gaming here talking about the Nintendo Switch. As always, take care.